Do you feel like you're going insane in your cut? I'll be honest, I'm not. And I think a big part of that is what I've learned around routines and stress management. Many guys think that a cut requires a whole heap of discipline, willpower. I have conversations with guys and like, man, I don't know, my mate can just do it so easy, but for me, it requires so much willpower. I know from experience working with many guys and girls to get lean that this is often not a matter of willpower or discipline, it's a matter of managing stress. So in this video, I'm gonna run through my personal exact routine for reducing stress, feeling calm, and seeing quick results when dieting, because I've been dieting at the moment. I wanna pull up some before and afters here. It lasts like maybe a month or two. I've seen some pretty fast progress, and I put it down a big part to this routine. But before we even get into that, why is it that stress plays such a big role when dieting? When your body detects that you've had a shortage in energy intake for a prolonged period of time, that's obviously gonna ring some alarm bells from a survival perspective. So your body starts ramping up cortisol because cortisol actually allows you to be more alert, more energetic for a period of time, but chronic stress starts to result in some issues. And then when you start adding in all this work, life stress, and poor habits around stress on top of that, it makes life a lot harder, because when cortisol is really high, your brain is quite stressed out for too long. It starts to seek comfort and familiarity. I've spoken about this before in my previous videos around dopamine and stress, but you're gonna be a lot more dopamine seeking when stress is too high for too long. It's also gonna result in poorer sleep, which in turn will lead to less energy output. So the amount of food you have to eat will be less in order to get yourself into a deficit. Less sleep will also result in increased appetite as well. Again, making life a lot harder for you guys. So in a nutshell, chronically high cortisol results in less energy output, usually more energy intake due to cravings, more fatigue, lower sense of well-being in general, and just less drive. And the cycle that many people get stuck in is that high stress, poor adherence, guilt because they fell off, then more stress because of that, and they never really get into a state of trusting themselves on a cut, and that's where you get that yo-yoing or just plateauing for a very long period of time. So number one, I want to talk about my supplementation protocol when I am dieting. As I mentioned before, protecting sleep is incredibly important for many reasons. So the supplements that I take are really just about reducing cortisol and improving sleep quality of an evening. So first thing I've got here is magnesium glycinate. This is going to have a calming effect on the body physically and have a flow-on effect in reducing cortisol as you approach bedtime. And lower cortisol as you go to sleep is going to help you shift into that rest and digest state. Another supplement that has a direct and pretty profound impact on reducing cortisol and again shifting you into that rest and digest nervous system state is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is something I always take when I'm in a deficit because of that increased cortisol. A lot of the things you hear online about ashwagandha around, having kind of this numbing effect emotionally. Personally, I've never seen it in myself or any of my clients who take ashwagandha. So I don't think you have to worry too much about that. And even in the research, it's not a very common impact. Now, the last thing I'm going to be taking when I'm in a deficit is melatonin. Especially when you get leaner and leaner and carbs get lower, it can have a disruptive effect on your sleep duration. You may struggle to get to sleep or you may wake up during the night. Taking this in combination with the other two, I never wake up during the night. I have great sleeps. So this is a sleep stack I would definitely recommend you guys get on if you are dieting. Now, the next area of focus for reducing stress and staying sane in the cut is sleep protection. And it kind of ties into supplementation because that is really about protecting sleep as well. But your habits around sleep are going to be incredibly important when you're in a deficit. Okay, you can get away with suboptimal habits around sleep potentially when food's a lot higher, but you're gonna feel the effects a lot more once calories and carbs in particular start to drop. I'm not gonna spend too long on sleep optimization because I made a video recently on it, so go check out that video. But really I go into supplementation, I go into routines of an evening, in the morning as well, and then your daily habits that will determine not only the duration of your sleep, but more importantly, the quality of your sleep and the duration of deep and REM sleep you are getting. The third component in my routine for reducing stress and improving the efficacy of the cut is the weekly setup. I'm a big fan of a Sunday reset, a Sunday setup. And I made a post about this on Instagram recently. I basically ran through my whole 2-hour routine for de-stressing, preparing, and planning for the following week. I'm gonna pull it up right here, but pretty much my whole 2-hour routine involves doing a click and collect grocery shop, planning my calendar for the week, going to the sauna and ice bath for a physical and mental reset, picking up my groceries, prepping all my protein for the week, and that's pretty much it. In 2 hours, I've got myself set up for the week so I can start Monday on the front foot. The reason having routines around this is so important, and again, I've spoken about this in past videos, we want to reduce decision fatigue, okay? We wanna have things set in stone that you don't have to think about. The less decisions you can make when you're stressed or when you're in a cut, the calmer you'll feel, the more productive you'll be. This goes for the times you eat, the foods you eat, when you train, what your preparation routines are, what your sleep routines are. You want to develop routines as much as you possibly can. And in that routine, I make sure I plan my calendar. My non-negotiables are all locked in. So I'm not making any decisions around them during the week. Ingrain this into your brain. The less decisions you make, the calmer you feel, the more productive you are. You need to understand this. I used to, back in the day when I was at uni, my life was so chaotic. I had no routines. It was just get up, what does today consist of, what am I eating, what am I training, and making all those decisions that leads to more stress and it leads to less adherence. And the next component of my routine is managing stress through programming. And now you might be thinking, Aiden, why did you just change your outfit all of a sudden? Don't ask questions. Now I'll be real with you. I was editing this video and I realized I completely missed out one key component I wanted to talk about. And it was the most interesting one as well for me anyway, and that's programming. So we can manage stress through the way that we program. Through our exercise selection, our volume, really we want to make the program as efficient as possible because the more work you do in the gym, the more fatigue you accumulate, the more you have to recover from. So realistically, right, the focus should be getting the greatest outcome from the least amount of work, the greatest stimulus with the least fatigue. And the way we do that with exercise selection is choosing movements that have high degrees of external stability, because if we're trying to take the quads and the glutes to failure, you're gonna be able to get there with less stress on a leg press than you would a barbell back squat. So when I'm choosing exercises in a cut, especially when fatigue is high, I'm trying to find exercises that maximize stimulus while minimizing fatigue. Another example is, say, choosing machine chest press over a barbell bench press. I'll try and keep rest long so we can make the most of the sets we are doing and not cramming a lot of sets into a short period of time. I'll also often keep rep ranges lower as well. I'll do a lot of my work in the 6 to 10 rep range, especially during a cut, because the goal is to progress in strength or at least maintain strength. And we know that we can get similar gains in rep ranges from 6 to 10 to 15 to 20. But the amount of fatigue, especially central fatigue, nervous system fatigue, you'll experience by going 15 reps to failure is a lot higher than you would experience going to failure at 6 reps. This is because we know from research that the longer duration the exercise, the more central fatigue that you accumulate. And this is a common misconception. I used to be in the gym around a lot of powerlifters, and they'd always be like, well, my nervous system is fried after doing a 1 rep max. So then they'd go and do, high rep stuff, but in reality, high rep stuff actually causes more central fatigue. So again, in my programming itself, we're doing lower volume, high rest, low reps, and choosing exercises that have a high degree of external stability so we can minimize fatigue while maximizing effort and stimulus. And then when we sense in the cut that motivation is dipping, maybe strength is dipping, maybe we're getting a few niggles, we implement intelligent deloads. We don't want to have to use deloads, but if they need to happen, they need to happen. I'd much rather modulate intensity and bring training volume down to a manageable point. So we have to deload as little as possible. But deloads often involve reducing volume and or intensity or taking more rest days in a week, basically having a light week of training so you can recover and come back feeling fresh. And my final component for reducing stress and improving adherence in the cut is mindfulness meditation or just mindfulness practice in general. Now, many people are going to hear this and be like, what the fuck? What is this guy talking about? Some woo-woo shit. Like, I'm not here to, be meditating. It's very misunderstood. There is clear evidence in research to show the impact on mindfulness meditation in improving focus, improving cognition, reducing stress. It has a massive impact on your ability to resist impulses, have better impulse control as well, and overall better willpower, which we know is super important in a cut. I'm so grateful that I learned this when I was younger. As a default, I'm a bit of a stress head, and this is something I found that had a profound impact on my ability to focus my mental energy, because I do have a lot of mental energy, but if I don't harness it and focus it, then it can just go all over the place and it can get wasted a lot of the time. Basically, if I was to put it in simple terms, apart from just de-stressing you, the biggest impact I find, or the biggest benefit I find from mindfulness meditation is it puts space between a thought and a reaction. So if you have an emotional thought, emotionally charged thought, maybe a thought that usually makes you angry, you don't have to immediately identify with that angry thought and then feel angry. You don't have to immediately have a sad thought and feel sad, because the more mindful you are, the better you get at just acknowledging a thought and not getting attached to it. But most people go their whole lives just getting identified with every single thought they have, and they become incredibly reactive. This leads to more stress, less well-being, and just less productivity. If you want to be a productive, calm, focused individual, I'm telling you right now, 10 minutes of meditation, getting good at mindfulness practice will be a game changer for you. I credit a lot of my success to that. And also not just that, but my ability to be present and not just be thinking about work all the time. It's tough, but it is possible, and this goes a long way to achieve that. I had an online conversation with an older bloke the other day, and I recommend that exact thing, because he'll say, nah, it's impossible. If you want to be productive and successful, you basically just have to be just miserable, which I was like, that's not necessarily true. Like, just 10 minutes investment of this kind of thing in a day, it can have a profound impact. And I know most people, if they don't understand it, they're going to have they're going to bite back at that. But I just found it kind of sad, because so many guys go through their whole lives without learning these tools when they could be so much happier and actually so much more productive. There's a thought that, managing your mind, finding developing a sense of calm. There's this thought that, what if I lose my edge by doing that, by practicing that? In fact, it's not the case. You become more productive and more focused and just happier. So that is my routine for reducing stress and getting more out of the cut, seeing faster results and just being less stressed. I'll be honest, there's been times in my past where I didn't have a lot of these routines down pat, and I was so emotionally volatile throughout my cut, especially as I got leaner. I fell into habits of smoking heaps of weed and just going for those simple pleasures. I've always been good at just like not eating the food, but I'd end up doing stupid things, and I sabotage myself in different ways. But now I find it a lot easier. I have a lot better structure around it. So really try and implement those elements, guys. It's going to have a massive impact for you. This is what I really want you guys watching to understand. The cut isn't just about willpower. It's not just about nutrition and training. It's about engineering your lifestyle, engineering stress out of the system. And I coach men on how they can get a grip on their body, their mind, their lifestyle, so they can achieve the outcome, but they can also just be more productive men. That is what I want. Okay, that's the goal I have for myself. That's why I try and teach to other men now through things like this. So if you're currently cutting and you feel like you're losing your mind, this is what I coach. The link will be down in the description if you'd like to have a chat. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to post a video like this every 2 weeks.